Hey, thanks for watching. I'm going to close that. That's why I like being at the trailer more, because it's a bit quieter than this one. Anyway, so to recap, I didn't tell this story yet because it is a whole story in itself, but the end of grade 5, we lived in the country and we took off in the middle of the night with the clothes we had on our back in my mom's little hatchback with the dog, the TV, the VCR, but like none of my stuff, none of her stuff. And we left. So 6 months later was when she forgot me at the friend's house, one of the stories that I told. And then 6 months after that was when she picked me up early in the summertime, and I ended up going into foster care. And 6 months after that was when I was living with Big J and Little J and little brother. And then after that was the end of grade 7, and that was when we took off to Montreal. So every 6 months from the end of grade 5 to grade 8 was just, every 6 months was just something, having to adapt, having to change, having to try to figure out what my mom's needs were before I even knew what my own were. It was very difficult having to always be uprooted and sometimes with nothing and starting all over again. My mom seemed to think that was going to solve things, but running away never solves anything. So it brings me to grade 8, and we managed to stay in one place for an entire school year, and it had to be one of the best school years of my life, even though it was also one of the most difficult. I could name off almost everybody in my class that I was at one point or another, or just off and on, or throughout, I was friends with. Like really, I'm trying to think, and I can pretty much think of every single one of you that I hung out with, went to your house, walked to and from houses for lunch, and stopping in the bus stalls to sing because the acoustics were good, hanging out outside in the like steaming heat with our bikes, playing basketball, training for running, playing, did we do that? Playing the Ouija board for a while. That was messed up. And anyway, it was just a good year. I was able to focus more on school and hang out with my friends, and life was good. And then things started going downhill around my birthday. My birthday's in April, and you'll probably notice that most things happen at that time. That's when things start to deteriorate, and then when the school year ends, all bets are off. Anyway, so near the end of grade 8, my mom started hanging out with some people, and I always knew she was a pot smoker, but she was getting into something else, and she did hide that more from me. But it was really difficult to hide things in the place that we lived. We lived in a house, and it was a 1-bedroom, so she gave me the bedroom, but all her shit was in the bedroom, and her bed was right on the outside of my bedroom door. And what really sucked when she started hanging out with this new person was that the bedpost was right up against my wall. Yes. That sucked. And there wasn't any way else out of my room except for to go past there. So, anyway, she started hanging out in the basement a lot. It was an unfinished basement. And we had a rabbit and 3 cats. We had 5 cats at one point because she took in a couple of kittens that were found outside. And yeah, knew something was off. At this point, I was on my bike pretty much as soon as I could get out of the house in the morning, and I wouldn't come home until I absolutely had to. She was good that way. She always wanted to know where I was and when I was going to be back, and she was very, very strict about it. So, at the time I kind of saw it as a pain in the ass, but she did good there. So the end of grade 8, our class went to Medieval Times in Ontario Place. And it was fun. It was a really good day. I remember that Terry bought me the princess hat with the pink ribbon. Thanks, Terry. And one of the memories I have from that is, maybe I won't mention their names, but we were looking over to the bus at the end of the trip, and the guy steps up on his tippy toes and kisses his girlfriend through the window. It was so cute. I don't know why I remember that. But yeah, I started to not feel very good during that trip. I started to feel nauseous, and nothing was making it go away, and it was hitting me pretty quickly. And by the time the day was done and we were on our way back to Toronto, or on our way back from Toronto to Peterborough, I was not good, and I started scratching back here. And yeah, it was chickenpox. End of grade 8, chickenpox, and that was my first chickenpox that I scratched off, and I still have a huge scar from it. But I came home and I got bad fast. Like, it was covered, it was in my mouth, it was just, it was brutal. And my mom got really worried as soon as it started happening because it was so bad. And I remember driving to Toronto to see another doctor to get a second opinion to make sure that that's what it was. I can see now, well, I could see then too that my mom did love me, and she wanted to take care of me. However, she seemed to only be able to do it in spurts. So her angelness ends there. She took me to Toronto, got a second opinions, chickenpox. I come back home. I am like sleeping, and I can't go to school. I missed the last 2 weeks of grade 8, which I was so upset about because those are the best weeks. Like, we were graduating grade 8. We were going to get a clap out. We got to stand on the counter at the back of the classroom and graffiti our name in the little alcove there. It was just, I'm really missed out on some stuff, I'm sure. But you guys made me a care package. Like, that's awesome. I think it was Matt that came over with, I'm not sure if it was Jonathan or not. No, Willie. I think it was Willie. Sorry, I don't remember who the second person was, but brought me a care package. And I don't remember all the things that were in it, but I just remember being really touched because I did not feel good. My mom started not taking care of me. She ended up going out, and she wouldn't come back until like the next day. And I knew I couldn't use the phone because at that time, all you had to do to find out the last number that was called was press redial. So she would put in a number that I didn't know. And so I couldn't use the phone because I would totally get caught. And I couldn't call anybody. Obviously, nobody could come over besides like just like dropping something off and going. She said that she was going to make my dress for grad. And I remember even going out to look for fabric, and she just never wanted anything that I wanted. I didn't want to be all fancy. She wanted me to have a bustle at the back, and a bustle is like, you know, at your waist, and you've got this sort of thing that like sticks out that kind of makes you look like you got a pointy ass. Anyway, we would fight about this bustle, and we ended up buying the material. And it was the night before grade 8 graduation. Most of my like chickenpox were all gone. I had still missed school, so this was kind of like my first outing. my grandparents were supposed to come to the graduation. My mom's supposed to come to the graduation, and it's the night before, and I still don't have a dress. I'm not sure if Television Road is still sort of in the boonies, but Television Road was the boonies, and it was the only place in the area that we knew of, or that I remember, that was open 24 hours and had some convenience things. So we're on Television Road at like midnight before the day of grad, looking for a sewing kit because my mom thinks she's going to pull it off. And I knew she wasn't going to. I wasn't sure what I was going to do. But there was still a part of me that hoped that maybe she was in there somewhere and that she would find that part inside of her in the next 12 hours and be able to pull something like that off. Like I believe that she could be that person somehow. So I went to school the next morning. No, it wasn't the morning. Yes, it was the morning because we got out half day for the clap out, and I wanted to be there for the clap out. So we went for the clap out, and then I went over to Vic's house because we were planning on going to grad together, and I didn't have a dress. Grad was starting that evening, and I still didn't have anything to wear. I didn't have shoes. And Vicky's grandma had made her dress, and I put a picture of it on my Facebook. And because her grandmother, couldn't whip up something fast for me from scratch, I don't know if any of you knew this, and I don't know why I feel ashamed of it, but a few years previous, Vic's older sister, Jen, graduated from the same school, and she had this really beautiful long dress, and we ended up pulling it out of her closet, and Vicky's grandmother sewed it up so it would fit me, and they gave me a dress. It meant so much to me. And they did my hair and took pictures of us, and I really felt like I had a good grad experience. I appreciate the Muir family so much. They were really there for me. So I'm just gonna go for a couple more minutes because I don't want to keep this too long. But I have a dress, I've got my hair done, managed to borrow a pair of shoes, go to grad, everybody's there, my grandparents are there, mom hasn't shown up yet. I'm really nervous about what she's gonna do when she shows up, if she's gonna be sober. I tried not to think about it because I wanted to have a good time. Who was Val, Victoria, and I think it was Darren and Vicky maybe. I really wanted to get an award, but I wasn't academically, even though I was there for the entire year, I wasn't as smart as some of the other people. But I did get an award. I believe I got it with, I think it was with Jonathan, but it was the Kawartha, it was a citizenship award, basically for being a good person. So I got this little plaque, and I had it on my wall until I was in college and realized that, maybe I should just put it away. So yeah, my mom didn't show up. My grandparents kept asking, where is she? Where is she? So she didn't show up. But I tried to push it out of my mind because I figured that if she did, it would have been worse if she did show up, because she could be so unpredictable. And that night I was set to spend the night at Vic's, and we had a dance, and we went to Vicky's for the night, and I'm gonna end on this story. We ended up spending the night, I believe, at Scott Kelly's, and he was in his room, we were in another room, and then there was all this commotion, and there was a bat in the house. And Scott ran out of the room, and we didn't know what he was doing, but all we could hear was so he comes back out, and he's got like this big like hockey thing on with a racket, it was a tennis racket, and he's got a helmet on his head, and like he's all just covered up and all this stuff, and he's like, where is it, I gotta get it down, oh my god. And Vicky and I were just cracking up laughing. It was so funny. So I stayed the night there, grad night, and I never lived with my mom again. So this is going to need to have a part 2, and I will do that next Friday. Thanks for watching. Please comment or go to my profile and follow me. At some point I am going to stop making my videos public so that only my friends or followers can see the videos. So if I don't really know you very well, or we're not in part of the same community, don't be offended. I'm probably not going to add you as a friend. Otherwise I'd be adding thousands of people, and I don't want to have to pick between strangers. So yeah, that's all for this week. See you next week. Have a good one.